Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the final video in my anniversary series. This is the series where I looked back at something that I did a year ago and I recreated it with my current skill set. I started this series in February of 2022, so now this being January of 2023, this is my last video in the series. And here is the eye look which I decided to recreate, because when I did this eye look, I thought it was okay, but it was a little bit clumsy, I'm not sure, didn't like it, and so I wanted to give it a second chance. I used these two palettes to do so, and if you would like to see what I did, don't go anywhere. If you've never been here before, hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. I really love to play with colorful eyeshadow. I upload tons of videos, at least 3, 4, 5 videos a week. If you want to see more, I hope that you'll consider subscribing before you leave, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss anything new. Now, this took a little bit of time, so let's get going. All right, let's get going with this final look of the month anniversary video. I wanted to recreate a look that I found from last January when I was using the Garnet palette from BH Cosmetics, because it was Garnet for January. I had used that palette once before and the look was so pretty. It was a very me sort of look. Then I thought, well, I'm going to use it again in January and I'm going to try to use some different colors. So I did like a black and red halo eye, and it looked sort of terrible. I really wasn't happy with how it looked. At least now I'm not happy with how it looked back then. So I wanted to recreate that, give myself an opportunity to redeem that look. So I've pulled out two different palettes to use today. I've got the Still Pretty palette from September Rose Cosmetics for all the reds. There's also a white shimmer in here, which the Garnet palette had. And then I grabbed the Queen Bee palette from Colored Rain because this one has an incredible matte black. So I have already primed my eyes. I used the Glam Light Icing Primer in the shade White Frosting. And now let's get going. I'm a little unsure of how I want to begin because if I'm remembering the photo correctly, it was black on the inner and outer corners with a red shimmer down the center. Now, that's all well and good, but do I really want to start my halo eye with just black? Or do I want to bring in some sort of transition color? And if I do a transition color, should it be a red transition color or should it be something a little bit softer? I think I'm going to go a little softer. I'm going to grab this shade in the top corner. In the palette, it's called Gerbera Daisy, but I have since learned that that's a misspelling and it's actually supposed to be Gerbera Daisy, I think. Something like that. Anyway, it's misspelled in the palette, but that's not the end of the world. I have a medium-sized blending brush and I'm going to put this in the whole crease area. This will be a transition color. I don't want to just jump right into the black because it's going to look really, really stark against my skin. And I want to transition softly a little bit out of the black into something else that still works with the look, but also helps transfer into my skin tone. So I think that this is a good middle ground without being red, because the red part of this look is the halo. So now here's what I've decided to do. I'm taking a small and stubby blending brush, and this one's a little bit pinched, so it's kind of oblong shaped. I'm going to go into the shade Red Rose. This is the lighter of the two red mattes in this palette, and I'm going in lightly. I'm going to put this in my inner and outer corners, because once I lay down the black, I'm going to want to transition the black into the red shimmer. I'm doing the transition from black into red first. Then I'll pile the black on top. So I'm not going in really heavy with this. It's not really going to stand out. It's basically going to be covered in black. But I want it to not be black on a naked lid space, because then when I move into the red shimmer, I don't know, I feel like it could look a little bit weird if I had it just black and then red. I would want to soften that change a little bit. So that's what this is. This is the softening process. I have so enjoyed this anniversary series. When I would go back and try to find which look I was going to recreate for that month, I would specifically look for pictures or ideas that didn't turn out very well. Because of course the idea was to contrast, to contrast my skills and my abilities from then till now. And it was getting a little bit harder to do that in these later couple of months because my skills had definitely stepped up to the next level by November, December, January of 2021. Well, not 21, January 22, I guess. So when I was going to recreate a look from that month, I was like, well, actually, not too many of these are really bad. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but a couple of them I looked at and I'm like, I would probably do that almost the same way today. So there wouldn't be a big contrast between one year and the next year. And that was encouraging to me, really, as I watched my own progress, not just from one year into the next, but from one month into the next as I learned and grew and developed my skill set. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a very rewarding anniversary series. This is the Queen Bee palette from Colored Rain. I keep this sleeve. It's one of the few sleeves that I've kept in my collection because it's cute. This little bee has holographic wings, and then this little bee has the 3D effect. It's so cute. See the wings go up and down? It's really lovely. The packaging's adorable. This palette has some beautiful shadows. Really, really beautiful. It's the only 6-pan palette I have in my collection, I think, at this point. It's the only small palette I've kept just because it's so pretty. I don't really go for small palettes, but this one is remarkable. I'm going to take a small blending brush and dip into the shade Bewitched, which is a black. I'm going to go in lightly because I can always add more, but I cannot take it away if I add too much. So I'm going to put this black color in my very outer corner and also my very inner corner. And I'm just doing this really lightly because this is such a pigmented tone. And there's tons of color payoff, so I'm gonna get as much color as I could ever want. It's just a little trickier to blend it out, especially because it's black. I mean, black is not easily gonna blend into anything other than a very dark shade. So because I'm not blending into a very dark shade, I'm going in super soft and just taking these tiny little strokes and working it in. I think that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go back into the red Still Pretty palette, back with the same dense blending brush and back into the shade Red Rose. And I'm going to put this right on the edge of the black that I put down. Remember, this shade is lying underneath the black, but I'm going to bring in a tiny bit more. Again, as I said, this is my transition color into the spotlight, so I do want to make sure it's present. I don't cover it too much. And then I'll go back into the small blending brush that I just used for the black. No additional product. Just dragging the black onto the red. The Colored Rain palette, both of these palettes actually have performed beautifully, but the Colored Rain black is amazing. It is so great. It's super pigmented, as you saw, and it's super deep. It's a beautiful black matte, but it's also really easy to work with. I mean, it did take a little bit of time because I was blending pitch black into a light pinky red sort of tone. So yeah, it takes time. But it was so easy to work with. Now it's time for red shimmer. I'm going to take a flat brush like this and dip into the red shimmer in this palette. There are two. There's one that's sort of a more rusty kind of red color, and there's one called Zinnia, which is a vibrant ruby red, and that's the one I'm going to grab. I've sprayed this onto my brush, and I'm going to place this on the very center of my halo eye. I feel like this is kind of a ruby slipper sort of color. It's definitely a red shimmer, but it has a tiny hint of pink as well. It's really pretty. I'm just putting this on the center of my eyelid, and I'm going to blend it out with matte, so I don't need to touch the matte black on either side. I'm just placing it down first. Now I'm going to take a dense blending brush from e.l.f. and go into the shade Cherry Blossom. This is the deepest red matte in the palette. I'm just going to tap this between the black matte / red matte and the red shimmer. This is a darker red than the one I used before, and it's going to help me transition into the dark mattes next to this red shimmer. But I don't want to cover either one, so it's just going on the line of both to help transition but not be overwhelming. I think that's looking pretty good. It needs a bit more work. This right here, I want to tidy that up a little bit, and I think I want to bring, I want to bring the black a bit higher. I'm going to take a translucent face powder. Give me a second. This is just a translucent face powder. It's linked down below. I'm taking this on a small and pinched blending brush, and I'm going to work at this edge right here. If you don't have a neutral to blend something out, you can always do this. Take a skin toned face powder and buff the edges a little bit. There are no real neutral tones in this palette. And now at the same time, I want to take the blending brush that I used for the black and bring it up into this area a tiny bit more. I'm not really sure that I can tell you why. It's looking imbalanced to me, and I'm trying to fix that. I'm going to work with that for now. I may tweak it a little bit as I finish off the look, but I want to do the lower lash line. So I'm going to take the red rose shade with a small pencil brush and run this on the inner and outer corners. Now with a smudger brush, I'm going back into this black shade from the Queen Bee palette, and I'm pressing it into the lashes of the outer and inner corners. And I'm meeting up with my black tones out here. I will blend that in a minute, and I'm meeting up with my black tone here as well. I don't want to go too heavy right here because I'm going to lighten it from here. I like a light inner corner, so I will be taking a white shimmer and lightening it a little bit. Although I'm kind of liking how smoky that looks. I've taken an angled eyebrow brush and I've gone into the shade Zinnia, which is the red shimmer, and I'm laying that down under the center of the halo eye. I really like to bring the center color down. I think it adds a very interesting sparkle to the lower lash line, and it also lightens it a little bit and kind of makes me feel that the look is complete, more cohesive all the way through. With my original fluffy blending brush, I'm just tapping the edges of this black out here, because when I added the black on the lower lash line, it made a bit of a severe line, so I'm not taking more product, and I'm not going in circles because I don't want to spread that black everywhere. I've already created sort of the triangular shape that I wanted when I did all of my original blending. So now I'm just taking the brush and tapping and kind of pushing away a little bit, just gently. It's not taking a lot of work. It just requires care. All right, I think that is looking pretty, and I like the shape of it. And I think that the inner corner issue, whatever it was, between me messing with it a little bit and adding in the lower lash line, I think that helped it resolve. I'm going to take a small pencil brush, a very small pencil brush, and grab the shade White Lotus. This is a white shimmer within the Still Pretty palette. I sprayed that shimmer just like I've done for all of them, and I'm putting this right here at the inner corner. A little pop of white. I don't want it to overtake the black. I just want to brighten it a little bit right there. And then with whatever's left on the brush, I'll just rub it under my brow bone. Because why not? Haven't done a brow highlight in ages. A brow highlight is a really nice way to brighten up a dark, smoky look. So you've got dark, deep, smoky, moody, but then you've got a little bit of lightness here. Inner corner as well if you want to. Okay, that's the whole thing. I'm going to go off camera and finish up, catch up the other side, do everything I do, and I'll be back in just a second to show you guys how it looks. Here we go, my friends. This is the final look in my anniversary series. Let me tell you how I finished it off. On my waterline, I used two colors. I put a white in the center, and then I put black on the inner and outer corners, which is, I've never done a halo waterline color before. I do like to do two-tone waterline. Sometimes I'll do lighter in the first half and darker in the outer half, but this was more of a halo waterline, and I think it's kind of fun. I did a winged eyeliner and some mascara, and that finished up my eyes. On my lips, I'm wearing this shade from NYX Butter Gloss. It is the color Red Velvet, which I thought would just be a perfect color to match my eyes. On my face, I have a few things. I have Matchmaker Blush from ColourPop, Nomad Positano Sunrise Highlighter, and the Tulum palette from BH Cosmetics. I will link all of this stuff down below. Whatever is available will be linked down below. And that is everything. So I think it's really lovely. I'm going to show you again my inspiration picture so that we can compare how it looked a year ago and how it looks today. I will say that the white shimmer in the Still Pretty palette does not even compare to the white, I guess it was a shimmer in the BH Cosmetics palette. I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure that palette had a white shimmer. And it was amazing. It was an amazing shimmer. Within those Birthstone palettes, there were always a couple of absolute standout fabulous shades. So this white shimmer doesn't compare to that one, but it's okay. I think the look is really lovely. I'm so glad that I decided to recreate this one because I wasn't loving how it looked way back then, and I thought, you know, I think I can do better. And I think today I did better. So I am so grateful to each of you who stuck around through this video, and especially if you watched all the videos in this series. Comment below if you watched all the videos in this series, because I'd love to know how you felt about the series, if you liked the idea, if you also enjoyed traveling back in time and seeing what I was doing then contrasted with what I'm doing now. Comment below if you watched all the videos. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for being with me, for hanging out with me, for clicking on my channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe before you leave because there are always new videos coming. And until I see you in the next one, I hope you have a great day. Bye!